another edition of Weekly Digest, the Government Information Agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Janelle Carter. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period August 23rd through 29, 2014, Agriculture Ministry signs contract for pump stations construction in regions 2, 3, and 6. Several airport staffers trained in airport threat mitigation. And Session 5 of Walter Rodney COI focuses on weapons issue. As the government of Guyana aims towards countrywide development, the Ministry of Agriculture signed 9 contracts for the construction of drainage pump stations and sluices in regions 2, 3, and 6 to ensure better drainage and irrigation of agricultural lands.
Agriculture Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy said while the focus is on agricultural lands, the project would also aid in drainage and irrigation of residential areas. Construction is expected to begin shortly. Contracts for the construction of pump stations and sluices, along with supervisory services and steel sheet supply, were awarded at a total cost of $697.3 million. For the construction of a sluice at Bagotville, West Bank, Demerara, a $48 million contract was awarded and another valued $57 million for a similar structure at La Grange.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are very important contracts, and I want to appeal to both the consultants and the contractors for us to complete these work on a timely basis and within the contract sum. In the last 2 years, I believe that we have a good track record of staying within our contract price and of completing our work.
In addition, a $181.89 million contract was awarded for the construction of a pump station at Joppa No. 43, Berbice, and a $191.5 million contract for another at Lima, Essequibo Coast. A contract to supply steel sheets to the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, valued over $177 million, was also awarded.
All these work, the first 4, will be supervised by a number of consultants. The consultant at La Grange will be SRK Engineering. They have been working with us on a number of projects. They will also supervise the construction of a sluice at Bagotville. The construction of the drainage pump station at Lima will be done by Engineering and Agricultural Consultants Incorporated, and the consultant for the pump station at Joppa will be done by SEMCO. So those are the 9 contracts that we will be signing on to today.
The contract signing followed a chain of such initiatives by the Ministry of Agriculture to acquire enough pumping capacity for drainage and irrigation systems. Thousands of residents stand to benefit from this initiative across the region.
As part of the government's airport modernization project, for which several pieces of new equipment have been purchased, 34 staffers of the Chedijagan International Airport, CGIA, and the Ogle International Airport have benefited from a Transportation Security Administration TSA training program. The 3 days training primary focus was on airport threat mitigation and was being conducted by the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, an agency of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Since the 9/11 incident, a lot has changed around the world in terms of aviation security, and according to head of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Zulfikar Mohammed, Guyana is making all efforts to be on par with the rest of the world in terms of aviation security.
The major activity of the TSA is to ensure that all countries that have airlines operating into the U.S. meet their requirements, and their requirements are in sync with the requirements of International Civil Aviation Organization. They also put out some directives at times which airports have to adhere to. If you're going to my country, you have to have A, B, C, D, E, F being done in terms of security. You have to meet all of these, and then I say, okay, you're certified to go. They do an annual inspection for that matter.
The participants of the training include personnel from the airport security team, Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit, CANU, Criminal Investigations Department, CID, the police and the security companies attached to the airport, along with participants from the Ogle International Airport. TSA was established after the 9/11 attack, which, according to Mohammed, because the tragic incident changed the entire way in which the U.S. looked at security. In addition, to bring Guyana's aviation sector on par with the rest of the world on August 21st, the Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast System was launched. This new system allows for the tracking of all aircraft in Guyana's airspace outside of 30 miles from the Timehri Airport, and the surveillance equipment uses the Global Navigation Satellite System to give accurate position information of an aircraft as well as its speed. Session 5 of the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry focused mainly on the issue of weapons issued by the Guyana Defense Force to civilian entities. It was discovered that 155 weapons have not been returned to the GDF since 1979.
Session 5 of the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry to date has revealed that 237 weapons were issued to Wilfred Skeet of the Ministry of National Development and R. Corbin between 1976 and 1979 by the Guyana Defense Force. Of these, 82 were returned to the Army, whilst 155 remained missing.
Comrade R. Corbin, National Development, 9. Comrade Skeet, 81. Comrade Skeet, Ministry of National Development, 90. And Comrade Skeet for National Development, 50.
Meanwhile, during the cross-examination, PNC attorney Basil Williams sought to suggest that the vouchers may have been prepared by an infiltrator within the Army or by a WPA sympathizer. He also suggested that the weapons may not have left Camp Ghana at all.
My investigation, sir, suggested that the weapons as vouchered left the compound, some were returned, and the issue vouchers are supported by the Special Stores Register, which indicated weapons that were issued and weapons that were returned. And again, sir, the find at Maikoni in 2008 validated the issue vouchers that indeed weapons by that serial number left the Guyana Defense Force.
The COI has also learned that the personal file of 4141 William Gregory Smith, which was classified as confidential, remains missing. There is a current investigation ongoing to discover the whereabouts of the file and why it went missing.
As part of Mining Week celebrations, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment allocated $80 million towards a water treatment plant in Port Kaituma and donated 4 drums of fuel to show appreciation to miners in Region 1.
At the Mining Week celebrations in Port Kaituma Region 1, miners and residents had the opportunity to relate the issues they face in the community to Minister of Natural Resources and the Environment, Robert Persaud.
We also knew that there was the issue of water supply and the safety of potable water. And so we did not sit back and say, well, this is a GWI problem, although GWI has been making some efforts. We worked with GWI because we recognized that the source of the water perhaps would have some difficulties, especially around the dry season and given increased mining activities.
The minister also urged small-scale miners not to give up on agriculture. He told them to begin thinking like large-scale miners or begin to develop an interest in other activities as a second source of income in the event gold prices are negatively affected.
If the representative from TGMC had a report to you that everybody would walk out of the latrine,
we got a report.
You got a report.
We got a report. And that is why
22 blocks, 700
moving,
300 from John, from 400.
That's why we're going to do district specific. And we can do one here with probably 100 blocks, only Port
Kaituma people.
Further, the ministry has referred resources to fix roads in Port Kaituma to the Ministries of Local Government and Public Works, and some efforts have started in order to determine what needs to be done.
Stay tuned, more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
The Government Information Agency, GINA, evolved from the Government Information Service and was formally launched in 2002. GINA is executing its mandate of keeping Guyanese, both locally and in the diaspora, informed of government's programs and policies pertinent to development. Cognizant of the right of Guyanese to information, GINA, through its dedicated staff, has endeavored to deliver its mandate to the best of its ability. Guyanese have every right to be informed of policies, programs, and projects which impact on their lives. The Government Information Service was in operation long before the PPPC administration took office and discharged the same mandate. GINA is a unit of the Office of the President, and its mandate is similar to other organizations around the world where governments have a fixed body to disseminate their information. GINA will endeavor to remain steadfast to its mandate and takes pride in continuing to serve the people of Guyana. GINA, information for nation building.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
Amerindians' culture and way of life will be showcased during September, which is designated Amerindian Heritage Month. This year, the spotlight will be on Carao Village.
Amerindian Heritage Month will be filled with numerous activities which will highlight the different aspects of Guyana's First People under the theme Traditional Embodiment for the Amerindian Development. As a customary, one Amerindian village is showcased every year. This year, Carao Village in Region 7 has been chosen as Heritage Village. Carao was initially called Carao Creek before it became a titled Amerindian village in 2007. It is a small village located on the lower right bank of the Mazaruni River, just below the famous Mazaruni prisons and obliquely opposite the interior town of Bartico. The reservation covers a total area of approximately 23 square miles, stretching from the mouth of Caracou Creek along the Mazaruni River to the mouth of Tiger Creek along the Essequibo River. It has a population of approximately 310 persons, representing around 80 households, with the majority of inhabitants descending from the Arawak tribe. Apart from the grand opening ceremony on September 1st, there will be splendid food and craft exhibitions at the Amerindian Village National Exhibition Center, Sophia. There will be cultural nights when the talents of Amerindians will be displayed and the reflections of the life of the first Amerindian parliamentarian, Stephen Campbell. A sports fest will see teams from various regions competing in several disciplines over 2 days.
Investors' confidence in the Guyanese economy is now higher than it has ever been, and this has led to an influx of new business entities and ultimately the creation of more jobs. In the area of tourism and commerce alone, there has been exponential growth.
Over the past 3 years, Guyana has welcomed over 300 hotel rooms. This is with the exception of the Marriott and the Sun and Sand hotels, 2 5-star internationally renowned brands that are yet to come on stream.
Point me to one single economy in the region where tourism is the foundation and base of that economy that has an investment of more than 300 new rooms in that country. This speaks to a very important issue. Confidence in the economy, confidence in where Guyana is going, confidence in where the sector is going, confidence in the vision that we have developed to take Guyana forward.
And while the large-scale foreign investments continue to pour in, the sector is expected to be boosted significantly as well with the development and the expansion of the Chedijagan International Airport and the erection of the Marriott Hotel.
A lot of the marketing in Jamaica and in Barbados and in Trinidad is driven by hotel chains. Look at the Marriott or the Hyatt. They drive the marketing based on the Marriott vacation, Coco vacation, JetBlue vacation. That is why it's very important for us to have brand name hotels like the Marriott in Guyana, because it helps us in the marketing drive. It brings a different dimension to the marketing aspect of tourism. Similarly, investment in the airport. We cannot market a product if we do not have the proper facilities.
Development of facilities such as the hotels are serving to stimulate economic growth and create job opportunities, and more importantly, improving and increasing Guyana's capacity and ability to attract more tourists.
The National Clean Up My Country initiative continues to progress, with major city canals being desilted and other coastal areas gearing to begin in a matter of days.
Work has been moving at a rapid pace as the desilting of several main canals in the city are almost completed. Areas such as the eastern side of Camp Street all the way to Middleton Street, along with sections of the canal, have already been completed.
Today the contractor has done almost 75% of this project. We are on Main Street or High Street and Lamahal Street, just by the Ministry of Finance. And the work is ongoing of desilting and carting away of the slush. East of Camp Street, heading to Middleton Street, have already been completed and awaiting final inspection.
Work is also being carried out at Lirapintir Cemetery, on which $103 million will be spent over a 6-month period. Meanwhile, the All Boys Town community over the past few weeks has witnessed the transformation of the drainage system as this initiative was rolled out in that section of the city. In March, the government of Guyana allocated $1 billion in the national budget for the countrywide cleanup exercise, with half of that sum going towards Georgetown.
Stay tuned. More of the Weekly Digest after the break.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
In an effort to better their lives, more than 42,000 pensioners are currently enjoying a 25% increase in their pension. This is in addition to the waiver of the Guyana Water Incorporated's bill. And in another attempt to enhance their lives, over 8,500 pensioners are benefiting from $20,000 subsidy yearly towards their electricity bills with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
The modernization of the Justice Administration System, the MJAS project, has been completed through a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Achievements made under the project include amended and new laws, training for personnel within the sector, reduction of the severe case backlog, the refurbishing of courts, increased numbers of judicial officers and training, publication of law reports and their indices online, the establishment of a DPP office in Berbice, computerization of several connected systems, among other aspects.
During Cabinet's statutory meeting at the Office of the President on August 27th, several issues of national concerns were discussed. The media was subsequently briefed on Cabinet's deliberations.
At its August 25 statutory meeting, Cabinet gave its no objections to 12 contracts in the areas of security, housing and water, health and infrastructure. On September 13, Guyana will be joining CARICOM in observance of Wellness Day 2014 and will be hosting PAHO WHO Dominican Director Dr. Carissa Etienne.
During her stay, the short stay, she will be participating in a series of health sector organized activities, principal among which would be one, the launching. She would be at the launching of the Presidential Commission on Non-Communicable Diseases. Presidential Commission on Non-Communicable Diseases, and also the launching of the Wellness Warriors Club.
Meanwhile, the stage is set for the reconstitution of the Teaching Service, Public Service, Judicial Service, and Police Service Commissions.
The lives of those 4 commissions expired over the past year, and the constitutionally mandated provisions for their reconstitution were completed on Friday, August the 22nd, 2014.
Some of the nominees are former Justices Lennox Perry and Prem Prasad for the Judicial Service Commission, Patrick Yard, Patricia Wendt, Carville Duncan, Cecil C. Prasad, and Vidya Loknath for the Public Service Commission, Leela Ramson, Maida Prasad, and Alan Monroe for the Teaching Service Commission, Harold Martin, Keith John, Umesh Satyanan, and Alvin Smith for the Police Service Commission. With a no-confidence motion pending, there has been a surge of electoral activities in Guyana.
The remnants of the Bournemouth Constitution are relevant, as that crafty politician in his constitution ensured that you could lose, but you can still win. The PPP civic government is the government for all Guyana, and its pronouncements reflect a considered view of its obligations, constitutional, statutory, moral, and otherwise, towards Guyana and all Guyanese.
Insofar as a minority government is concerned, the HPS said that this is not peculiar to Guyana. However, the emphasis should be placed on making them work.
And now for perspectives with Dr. Prem Mazir.
In today's perspective, I want to talk about GINA, which is suffering unfairly at the hands of the combined opposition, APNU and AFC. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney had a lot to say about the press when President George Bush Sr. was about to nominate him as Secretary of Defense. His thoughts ran along these lines. The White House, through the Office of Communications, has to control its public agenda by promoting the messages it wishes to deliver to the American people. The essence here is that the White House must control the media coverage of the United States government. The White House Office of Communications' main focus is to present the U.S. government effectively through the information it puts out and through the control it has of this information. The White House must not permit the press to set the U.S. president's agenda. The press loves to set the U.S. president's agenda. The press loves to select what is important and what is not important for all Americans. But the White House does not permit this to happen. If it does, the press will rubbish the U.S. presidency and the U.S. government. The U.S. government, like many other governments, needs a public relations arm to promote its agenda. And it does this through the Office of Communications. Similarly, the government of Guyana has the Government Information Agency, known as GINA, that performs its functions as public relations advocate. GINA over the years has attempted to execute several of the functions that former U.S. President Dick Cheney spoke about, and which I addressed to and alluded to a few seconds ago. In fact, GINA is the public relations arm of the government of Guyana in the same way as the White House Office of Communications is the public relations advocate of the U.S. presidency. The White House Office of Communications is funded through American taxpayers' dollars. That is through public funds. However, in Guyana, in recent years, the work of GINA has become a victim in the hands of the one-seat majority, APNU and AFC. These opposition parties in Parliament have unfairly attacked the work of GINA. In fact, for a few years now, APNU and AFC have taken away GINA's budgetary allocations in Parliament, depriving many of its staff of a livelihood, and have also suppressed the government's legitimate press relations agency, whose job is to familiarize all Guyanese with the policies, programs, and projects of the Guyana government. As the press relations arm of the government, GINA is expected to control the media coverage of the government of Guyana. Most governments have a press relations agency, but APNU and AFC want to demolish GINA. I thank you very much.
And with those features, we have come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Agriculture Ministry signs contract for pump station construction in regions 2, 3, and 6. Several airport staffers trained in airport threat mitigation. And Session 5 of Walter Rodney COI focuses on weapons issued. Please note that the Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website, www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at gina.govgy@gmail.com. Join us again next week as we highlight more of government's programs and policies which are enhancing the lives of Guyanese. I am Janelle Carter. Do have a safe week ahead. Goodbye.